Hi guys, this is Ellie from Warrington and Vale Royal College, and this is the fifth and final workshop on how to use the photo editing software Gimp. So what we're going to be doing today is kind of using some of the earlier tools we looked at in the earlier workshops. So for example, we're going to be using the pen tool again, and we're also going to be using the transform tools as well. We're going to keep these tools quite simple. It's a really simple technique that we're going to have a look today. So what we've got in front of you is an example of the technique being colour popping. Combining two images, in this case a colourful image like the flowers in the background, and then also a black and white image in the foreground. So obviously that creates really interesting contrast, and it's a really simple effect. There's also a secondary contrast here, so the contrast between humans and also nature. So the two images I've chosen for this particular task are these. So the first image is this black and white image of a little boy looking out a window. So when I saw this, I thought, well, he's looking out, which looks like into the darkness. There's nothing quite there. So I thought it was quite nice to maybe cut out this window, and within that, put this image, which is a whale, as you can see, a whale, and it's partly submerged, and we can kind of see it under the water, which I think was pretty cool. And I thought it would look quite nice, as if the boy is looking out into the ocean, and it gives the impression that the room is partly submerged within the sea. So I thought it might be an interesting effect. So I'm just going to close down this first example, and I'm going to get cracking on these two. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a new document. So whatever you decide to do for this technique, make sure you choose a black and white image and a colour image prior to editing. And again, on other kind of images that I've used for this workshop, I've used pixel.com, which is a free website where you can download and edit the images that they have on there. It's a really good database of images. So first make a new document, go File, New. Under Template, I'm going to go to A4, and it has 300 pixels per inch. Now, if you're ever designing something that you want to print, always make sure that your pixels per inch are about 300. And the reason for that is essentially what that means is that's how many pixels there are per inch of the screen. The more pixels that are there, the better quality it's going to be if you print it. And 300 is usually a good figure to start with. So it automatically puts the width sizes in. I do want to make sure my canvas is landscape, as the black and white image we've got in front of us is landscape, so it just makes things a little bit easier for us. Now under the advanced settings, if we drop that down, I want to make sure that where it says fill with, I don't want background colour, I want transparency. And this is going to be quite clear when we start cutting out the window. So I'm going to press OK. So I've got my new document. First thing I'm going to do is bring over this image of the boy looking out the window. And if you remember from previous workshops, to copy anything in Gimp, I'm using a Mac at the moment, so I'll press Command C to copy, and if you're using a PC, it would be Control C. So I've pressed Command C, and I'm going to over to my new document, press Command V to paste, or Control V if you're using a PC. Now at the moment, this image is really big. Now if we have a look on the right hand side, we've got a layer panel. Now at the moment, the image that I've just put on, we haven't confirmed we're happy where it is, and that's the first thing you need to do when you're actually dropping new images on to a new canvas. And the first thing you need to press is the green button right at the beginning here. If you click that, what you'll notice in the layer panel is now you can see the full thumbnail of the boy and the whale, the boy and the window image. But obviously we've still got the problem is that the image is way too big for our canvas. So we're going to be using the transform tools to decrease the size, to scale down the size of this image. So if you remember, it's on the left hand side, second one down, click and hold, and you'll get an option to scale. So I've clicked that, I'm going to click and drag in, and what that does is it brings down that image quite quickly. Now, as I've scaled that down, I've kind of moved the image off center of my canvas. So you'll notice there's a square in the middle of the image, and if you just click on that, you can actually change the position of it. It just saves you having to go back to your normal move tool, which can be a bit annoying if you're doing several quick things and doing things in quick succession. So So I'm just going to bring that out again. Now this is going to overhang the canvas a little bit, which is absolutely fine. Once I'm happy with the positioning, I press enter just to confirm, and then you can see how it overhangs the canvas, which isn't an issue because we can still see the window. Next thing I'm going to do is cut out this window. Obviously, eventually the whale image is going to be, you'll be able to see it through that window. So we need to get rid of this kind of black netting over it. So we're going to be using the pen tool for this. So the pen tool, it's called a pen tool on Photoshop. It's pretty much called the same thing on Gimp, but it's called Paths tool. So if I do refer to it as pen tool, it's because I've grown up with Photoshop, but it's called a Paths tool. So we click that one. I'm going to zoom into this area, and remember to zoom in, you can use the zoom options at the bottom here, but you could also use the magnifying glass in your tool panel. So I'm going to use a magnifying glass. I'm just going to go over the window area, back on my Paths tool, and I'm going to click my anchor points down. Now, again, if you've hopefully watched the first, I'm going to zoom in a bit more here. Hopefully you've watched the first workshop video, and that takes you through how to use a pen tool correctly and how it kind of functions and works. So please refer to that if you're getting stuck and you can't quite control this pen tool. It does take a bit of practice. So I'm going to quickly draw around this and we'll speed it up. Now, when you get to the point where you're nearly done a full circle, again, if you struggle with this, I would certainly recommend going back to the first workshop, which was looking closely at the pen tool and how to use it. But what we need to do is close our circle, so our end anchor point connects to the first anchor point that we added. So at the moment, I've got 2 anchor points here that you can see. I'm just going to zoom in a bit more so you can see. So we've got, you can just see it. There's a white anchor point just up here, and then this is the last anchor point we've just put down. And as we hover over, now I don't know if you can see this, but if we put 90% in there, as we hover over the first anchor point you put down, we need to make sure we're holding Command if you're using a Mac, or it'll be Control if you're using a PC. And what that does is it changes the cursor to the link, and that's indicating that we're back to where we started. So look out for that, okay? So I'm holding Command, or it'll be Control if you're using a PC, and then clicking once, and it links, it makes it all full circle. Now I'm just going to zoom out so you can see what we're doing. So now you can see from this distance that all these white dots, they basically they're referring to the anchor points that I've put down. What we now need to do is make a selection, and remaining on the Paths tool, you need to go over to the left-hand side, and where it says Selection from Path, click that. What now happens is we've got a black and white line that's kind of moving, and again we've done a similar process in the earlier videos as well, so if you need a recap, please refer back to that. But yeah, it's basically telling me now that this area within that window has been selected. And a quick way to delete it is to press Command X or Control X if you're using a PC. So that basically cuts out what we've selected. And as we click back onto our Move tool, it turns off those anchor points that we could see, but it still has it selected. So we need to deselect this area. You need to go up to the top of your screen, go to Select and put None. And now that just takes it off, so we haven't got any selection there. So if I zoom out so we can see the whole image, we now have that window's gone. Oh, we can see this checker pattern, and that's because our background layer, and you can see in your layers panel, the background layer hasn't got anything on it. When it's a checker pattern there, it means it's completely transparent, there's nothing on there. And that's really key, because if we didn't have a transparent background and we had a white background, we'll just see white there, which would be a little bit frustrating. So I'm going to go over to my whale image, and I'm going to do the same kind of process as we did when we moved the boy and the window image over. So click on the whale image, I'm going to press Command C to copy, or Control C if you're using a PC. Over to our new canvas with the cutout window, I'm going to press Command V to paste or Control V to paste if you're using a PC. And what you'll notice, obviously this is really, really big, but the first thing before we resize it, we need to confirm that we're happy to place it on this document. And again, on the right hand side in the layers panel, you'll see that we haven't confirmed we're happy with it. We need to make sure we're pressing that green button, where it had basically the first one there. That changes the whale image, it places it on there. We can now see the thumbnail quite easily. So I'm going to use my transform tools to rescale this image. So into your scale tools, into your transform tools, go into scale and then just bring that down. And again, you can use that square bit in the middle just to reposition. So I'm roughly putting it over the window area. And when I'm kind of happy with it, I know I need to do some more editing to it, but I'm just going to press enter. And it kind of confirms it for me. I now want to rotate it because at the moment, the water level is at an angle, and the effect that I want from this is I want it to seem like the house is submerged. So I want the water level to be kind of horizontal, so it doesn't look like it's at an angle. I don't want it to look like a dangerous sea. I want it to look quite calm and kind of emphasize that straight kind of level edge of the sea. So back into my transform tools, I'm going to go to rotate, and I'm literally going to click and drag to rotate it. And I can use that to move it up and down slightly. I think that's probably about the level that I want. I'm going to press enter when I'm happy. Now what I'm going to do, at the moment, the whale is in front of everything. And if we look at our layers panel on the right hand side, the whale image is above the boy and window image. So what we need to do is actually drag this top layer underneath the other layer. So it swaps it. Anything that's on top is the first thing, basically the top layer. Anything underneath is underneath it, essentially. So we're going to click on the top bit, and we're going to click on the whale image, and we're going to drag it under the boy and window image. And you'll know when you've done it because you have a white line, and you can see that white line as I'm holding it. Let go, and now it changes the order of those layers. So we've got the boy and window image at the top, and then we've got the whale image underneath. As you can see on the main canvas, the area where we haven't cut out the window is blocking the rest of the image for the whale, so it looks like it fits perfectly. So I'm just going to reposition this whale image a bit more, so make sure I'm still selecting the right layer, in this case the whale layer. And I'm going to use my move tool just to move it around a bit. I might play around with the scale a little bit, maybe make it a bit smaller. Press enter. And then back to my move tool just to reposition it. There we go, I think that'll do. So this is a really, really quick and quite effective way to make quite an interesting and engaging image by just using two images, one black and white, one colour, and being quite clever about what you're cutting out. So I'm emphasising the fact that the boy's looking out the window, but rather than looking out a window into this darkness and this net over it, I've made it more interesting. It's kind of got this fantasy feel to it. So guys, I really hope that you've enjoyed these workshops. This is the last of my workshops. If you want to learn more about how to use Gimp, there's plenty of stuff online that you can Google. There's loads of YouTube videos of how to use the software. So I hope you've learned something, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much.